if Fast and Furious did a rally movie, would that be the most popular motorsport right now?
Maybe.
I mean,
Fast and Furious off-road.
I mean, I feel like Rally already had its time in the sun, and it's
that
going to be a
Colin McRae was raining down upon everybody.
Talking about
Yeah,
Group
you're
B?
not wrong.
I mean, I'm not
Group
going
B
to say it's not
we
going
don't
to
talk
come
about
back,
Group B,
but-
alright?
I mean, it still exists too.
30
It's just-
people died in 3 years.
But it's not. It's
Who
like
gives a
Rally.
fuck? It was amazing.
Rallycross isn't so much the same as it
The
was
fireball
30
from,
years
like, the car
ago.
nailing the tree.
On that topic of
Because
pop
they had
culture and
no reinforced
motorsport,
fuel
though,
tanks, no rear firewalls, and
There was no
I'm gonna let these
aluminum
dickheads
roll
finish
cages.
talking.
Yeah.
There was next to no rules.
Yeah.
Do what you
The
want.
killer, they call them the killer bees.
Group B rally racing, 10 out of 10. If you haven't looked it up, fucking look it
Go
up.
home.
It's really cool, yeah.
Right. You guys are already home, but
I don't know, they might be listening to this at work.
go
Yeah,
watch
they are.
Group B, stock video of Group B rally racing, the killer
Holy
bees.
shit.
It's nuts.
It lasted for 3 years, like 36 people died in 2 years, so they canceled it.
10 out of 10.
They had no regulations on safety, aluminum roll cages, no reinforced
Wait,
fuel
aluminum
tanks.
roll cages?
Oh yeah.
I didn't know that.
There
That's
was-
fucking
You had to have a
sketchy.
cage in the car. It could be PVC as long as it was in the car.
Yeah. Group B, it didn't
Jesus
matter.
Christ.
The fuel tanks didn't have to be reinforced to not explode and kill you in a massive fireball, which there are several videos of that happening. It is beautiful.
No, it's
not.
And
not beautiful.
I
No
would call
rear,
it
no
beautiful.
firewall supporting anything. It just had to be a car that could function and go fast. They stripped as much weight as possible, didn't follow any safety guidelines, and strapped people in these death carts and sent them at top speeds down uncertain roads.
Yep. The
Yeah.
idea was go fast and try not to die.
If you want to know
Basically.
the most similar equivalent that still goes on today, look up Isle of Man TT.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yes. Isle of
That
Man
shit
was
is
the
crazy.
closest
But
thing to
instead
it.
of on paved roads and motorcycles, it's a bunch of gravelly, hilly back roads in a full-size car.
There's videos of them doing like alpine forest, and there's a car ramps over a hill, hits a tree, and splits in half, and turns into a massive fireball. Like
Minty.
200 yards, not 200 yards, but like a 2-block long fireball from this car.
Yeah.
They canceled one race because a driver died and they couldn't find what was left of him.
Oh my god.
Good God.
Mint.
Yeah.
But
Yikes.
anyway, back to the pop culture and motorsport thing. Obviously, I think we all know that Street Outlaws definitely brought drag racing back into the norm.
I think
For
I think
people
like,
who weren't initially already into like
I mean, not
motorsport.
really.
I still want to go do stupid shit on the streets whenever I watch that show.
Yeah.
They're not even on the streets.
They are back. I thought they were back when
No, now it's all no prep shit.
It's all no
I
prep
thought they went
shit.
from no prep back to the streets. Though.
No.
And their streets is
It's a close
road
course.
that Ryan Martin owns.
Oh.
It's not a street.
Well, I mean,
It's not a public
we've been
road.
trying to get that set up with somebody we know.
Yeah, but we don't claim to be street outlaws.
I'm a straight
But,
outlaw.
well, what I'm saying though is it's
Racing
like
pussy.
it's Street Outlaws kind of brought drag racing,
Racing the
even on the
F250.
less than legal side of
Yeah,
things. It
well,
kind of brought
that's
it back into like the common like household conversation.
Fair,
that good or
but in the
bad.
same breath, because of the giant masses of fucking normies, drag racing
True.
in general has been decreasing rapidly in the past 20 years.
Yeah,
People will move close to a drag strip knowing it's a fucking drag strip and still bitch about it endlessly,
yeah,
non-stop. And that gets a lot of tracks shut down.
yeah.
and that's not just drag strip. That's all.
I mean,
any
yeah.
kind of race track.
Any kind of motorsport.
Absolutely.
Like Laguna Seca, like they have to have just regulations on the noise decibel. Like you have to weld on extra mufflers just to run at Laguna Seca.
Really?
Yeah, and what they'll do
Why
is
that?
because everybody builds cars to the test. I mean, that's how any racing system is. Like you figure out the ways to screw the system. Everybody's like builds this exact setup with like a turn down on it, so that the way they do the test, it registers just the limit at whatever RPM they decide is the regulation.
What
for that.
decibel level? And
Yeah,
whatnot.
however you want to look at it. It's like they just to beat that, but it's still it's all facing basically away from the housing. Like on the close side of the track, it's facing away from the houses, and on the far side, where you get a little bit extra space to disperse the noise, that's where it's facing the houses.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of way to do it. It's like if you have to build track-specific exhaust setups, like that's just
Yeah.
Yeah.
Within that, I'd like to discuss cheating within motorsports and what the.
it's the best thing you could possibly
Yeah.
do.
Like I can't remember the quote, but it's like something about cheating. Like it's not true motorsports unless you're pushing the limits.
Well, you're not, if you ain't cheating, you ain't winning.
Like the
You're
old
not cheating,
school,
you're not
like the
trying.
restrictor plates they used to have to put on NASCARs. They'd make them like people. They would just make them out of cigarette foil packs.
Yeah.
So they would shine the light down the carburetor, check it. Okay, it's got a restrictor on it, and as soon as I started the car, it would suck the paper into there. And have
Or
full
it's like
airflow.
the air filters, and I've seen some of these because the company that my dad works for used to build them for the NASCARs. It's like the ring like air filters, like on the old school big blocks.
Yeah.
And it's just like paper thin filter media. But it's like technically counts, and then they'll just backfire it real quick, and that blows it off, and then it's basically an open intake.
Yeah.
Here is my favorite like case of cheating within motorsports that like I understand is was on the Toyota selling of rally cars. It was
When they put the turbo restrictors on them.
yes,
Yes.
that is the greatest thing ever because what they did is they designed it in such a way that whenever you were looking at the turbo, like in the pits or taking it apart, you have no idea that it's there. But they engineered.
You would have to disassemble the cheating part to discover that it was actually cheating, and they
Right.
couldn't. Once it was disassembled, there was no evidence of it.
Exactly, because it managed to like it hid its own self, and then whenever it got like into racing, it opened up and just let like extra like 25% more air through.
It took them like 3 years to figure that out.
Well, I think
what they were doing.
Didn't Toyota reveal it's like, hey, we were cheating this whole time?
Yeah, and they were like, "Oh, don't do that again," and they did it again.
Yeah. It's like
Yeah.
that's incredible
Yeah.
because they figure out how to completely hide
Yeah.
a cheating part on probably the heaviest regulated part at a time.
One of my favorites is the late '60s Ford Mustang race cars, where they were required to have so much of like the vehicle had to be within certain requirements for the race, so they would take the car's shell and acid dip it
Yeah,
to shave as much
to
possible
thin
weight
the
off.
metal down as much as possible.
They said they got it so thin that it would
It was like
bend
paper
from going
mache,
around, like going around
basically,
corners. It would bend and flex the body panels to distort them. They would all like be unrecognizable by the end of the race.
And there was another one I just thought of. It was one Smokey Eunuch did back in the day.
He did a lot.
Yes,
A
he
lot
did.
of cheating.
He basically, it's a whole thing. There's a bunch of history on it, but there's one thing he did where he put like some kind of inflatable ball. I think they said
I think
it was
basketball, yeah.
Put a basketball in the fuel tank because the fuel tank back then it could only hold so much fuel.
Mm-hmm.
So he would inflate. He would hide the basketball in the fuel tank, inflate it to where it looked. To where when they tested it, it would be like, okay, it holds this much, and then you just deflate it and put more fuel in.
Yeah.
It's just,
Oh, is that
Some
the
of
way
the-
that it worked?
yeah, I think so.
Okay,
At least I think that's how I understood it when I heard it, because I'm assuming you heard about it the same way I did.
Well,
which was
I heard about it. I never fully understood the story because I was thinking there's one or two ways he could do this. It's either he does that where he gets more fuel in his tank and he can run longer stints, or he's assuming there's going to be a crash and a caution, and he's just going to run less fuel, have less weight in the car, and have just
Yeah.
that much more of an advantage on the oval.
The way I understood it was he did that so you could
So
get
you could
more,
fit more
fuel
fuel.
in it.
That would probably make more sense.
Because with NASCAR, it's like an endurance race. The less like fill-ups and stuff, pit stops you have to do, obviously, you're more likely to win.
Yeah.
Right, and that's what I was thinking. It's like, well, if it's like just based on like caution strategy, because that's what most modern endurance racing is, just caution strategy.
Yeah, it's just
which,
waiting for
which
caution.
kind of sucks to watch, but at the same time, it's like that's the most efficient way to win the race.
No, yeah.
I was thinking it was
that's
more.
that's
along
what
that
endurance
line.
races like that. It's all about efficiency, really.
Oh yeah, and that's why Audi was running diesel engines at Le Mans for so many years.
Yeah.
just because that was the most efficient way to get around the track for the rules.
Yep.
So
Yeah. That's for like Ferrari and Lamborghini were notorious for cheating. I can't think of any of their schemes offhand right now, but I know I've seen a lot of videos on what they did to win like Le Mans and stuff like that to beat out the competition through that.
yeah,
Cheating is like it goes hand in hand with motorsports. It's whatever
Yeah.
like
It's crucial.
possible edge
Or
you
it's
can
like
get to win.
what is it? It's the thing they did in drag racing where it was like it's like nitrazine. No,
No, it's hydrazine.
hydrazine.
hydrazine. That's what it was.
Hydrazine is
Yeah.
how they have broken every speed record in top fuel racing.
Mm-hmm.
Hydrazine was a chemical developed by the Nazis, and they developed it to use in the V2 or V3 rocket they were developing. They stopped using it because it was too dangerous. If it's too dangerous for the Nazis, it's just right for race cars, all right? I've seen
That's
pictures.
a quote right there.
Somebody write that down, please. I've seen pictures of small blocks and big blocks that have ran hydrazine mixed with regular race fuel and just blown the cast iron blocks into chunks.
Uh-huh.
They run it in top fuel cars mixed with nitromethane. I can't remember the exact
It's a
chemical
very,
strategy of it.
very low
Well,
amount.
hydrazine is a oxygen scavenger,
Correct.
and nitromethane is. Do you know the chemical thing behind it, Ian?
I don't actually, not off the top of my head, at least.
Nitromethane is like full of oxygen, and hydrazine scavenges that oxygen to burn it more efficiently. In a standard top fuel car's tank, you can put a few drops of it in there, and it will run faster than anything else.
And the flames that come out of the pipes burn green.
It burns. It's like 8-foot tall green flames.
Yeah.
Every top fuel car that has broken a speed record has been running that. You can always tell because of distinct flames, the shotgun sound the exhaust makes when it goes off on each stroke. and the fact that the people will have to drain the tanks at the start finish line, or just the vibrations from towing the car back will cause it to detonate.
Well, and also it's like super banned within race regulations, so
Yes.
they got to drain the tank to prove that they
If you're in the
have it in there anyway.
If you're in the crowd and somebody drives by with hydrazine, your face will become numb from the fumes of it. In the stands near it.
Jeez.
It is incredibly
Shit's
volatile.
toxic.
It's incredibly volatile. It causes cancer too.
Yeah. Oh, of
It's
course,
incredibly
everything
volatile,
causes
like-
cancer.
Yeah.
A lot of Top Fuel cars have tried to run it and unsuccessfully ran it because they blew up at the starting line from the vibrations from the motor setting the fuel off. Like, it's so unstable. It's like more unstable than nitroglycerin. Slight vibrations of a certain frequency will detonate it, and it's like an atom bomb going off when it does.
I wouldn't go that far, but it's a pretty bad explosion.
The Nazis
I would
wouldn't
say.
use it because they were scared of
Exactly.
it. It's incredible.
Crazy
Like,
kraut bastard.
just a few drops of that mixed with
Chase?
fuel is incredible. Like, it's such a simple thing that causes so much destruction, but it also is how you break every speed record. Like, the 300 mile per hour barrier was broken on hydrazine, and it's been outlawed in the NHRA since the 70s, I believe. They get around that by saying the green flames are a result of the copper head gaskets being burned up during a high-speed run, which is believable
it is
because
believable.
you have to
'cause-
tear the block down after every run anyway.
Yeah,
Right.
because it basically like melts the valves on a run.
Yeah, well, like there's the article I read
You get
about.
like 1 or 2 passes.
You
It's
get
like
less
a
than,
pass.
you get less than one. Like halfway down the top fuel, like a top fuel car's run,
It burns
it
up.
burns
It
the
basically
electrodes
burns
off,
up,
and
yeah.
it starts dieseling the fuel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it
The
diesels
the
rest
valves
of
are so white hot that it can compress the fuel
it
to
just-
explode.
Yeah, it just diesels itself, and the only way to turn it off is if you cut the fuel flow.
Yeah, which is why, like, you ever seen a top fuel car explode halfway down the track? It's because the driver let off the gas and it couldn't handle
And
it.
it leaned out. And
Yeah,
just,
it leaned out and exploded and detonated.
it. Yep,
Jeez.
precisely.
Top fuel's insane.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Top Fuel's crazy.
Top
I'd like to
fuel-
ride in one.
I would
You
love.
know,
I would
honestly.
I
My,
don't want to know.
my
that.
bucket list, top of it is to go 300 miles per hour one time in my life.
Actually,
Well, I mean, get on a plane.
I know, I want to go a
but
top
it's,
fuel
it's a
car. Like, I
completely
want to
different
go.
feeling.
No,
I want to go 0 to 60 in less than a second.
that actually reminds me.
seems like it would just give you like internal bleeding.
That's what a top fuel car does.
That reminds me of an old article I read too. It's just like how quickly those top fuel cars accelerate.
They pull like 5 or
uh,
6 Gs.
No, but that's the thing. It's like the most
Here,
accurate
I got the article.
comparison.
I'm gonna pull it up.
Well, I can just cliff note it real quick, but it's like at the time this was articles written way back in the day, but it's like a Lingenfelter built Z06 twin turbo Corvette can hit a top speed of about 200 miles an hour, we'll say. If it gets up to that speed and crosses the starting line at the exact same time that the top fuel car hits the light, even with that head start, the top fuel car will still beat that car down the quarter mile.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that as well.
I mean, it's like I think that the only thing that they quoted like the G-force is equivalent to is like literally leaving the atmosphere.
I was gonna say it's got to be close to a shuttle launch.
No, I think it's
Like
the
that's
only
about the only closest approximation I could think of.
All right, here's some of the facts. A top fuel dragster's 500 cubic inch Hemi engine makes more horsepower than the first 4 rows of the Daytona 500 combined.
Yes, it's like several. It's like what is it?
15,000.
Yeah, 20,000 horsepower.
Under full throttle, a dragster engine consumes 11.2 gallons of nitromethane per second. A fully loaded 747 consumes jet fuel at the same rate with 25% less energy being produced. A stock V8 Dodge Hemi engine cannot produce enough power to even spin the supercharger on one of those motors.
Which isn't that
Yeah,
a thing?
full
They have to
boost.
like use a completely different motor to actually start those things.
Well, even to start it, you have to have it's like a 1-inch impact that clicks onto the front of the blower and spins the motor through that to start it.
Oh, see, I thought it was a thing where they actually had to mount another motor to it to get it to
No,
start.
there's no transmission on those cars, so there's no
That's true,
there's no way
yeah.
to mount a flywheel for a starter, and there's no starter that can possibly spin that high compression.
No, absolutely not.
So it has a set of clutches that go directly from the motor to the rear end, and there's a clutch pedal to engage it at the starting line.
Which is basically like their little bump button,
Yeah.
like what would be on a turbo car.
Oh man, at a stoichiometric of 1.7 to 1 air-to-fuel mixture for nitromethane, the flame front temperature measures 7,050 degrees Fahrenheit. With 3,000 cubic feet per minute of air being rammed into the supercharger on overdrive, the fuel mixture is compressed into a nearly solid form before ignition. Cylinders run on the verge of hydraulic lock at full throttle.
Yeah.
Nitromethane burns yellow. The spectacular white flame seen above the stacks of the exhaust is raw burning hydrogen being sucked out of the atmosphere. It's so hot that it turns the water vapor in the air
Into oxygen.
oxygen and hydrogen.
Yeah,
it chemically separates the elements around it and burns it off individually. That's why it has that color exhaust.
You talk about pushing the limits in motorsport. This is the definition.
This is
of
pushing
it right
the limits
here.
of science. Like, this is doing
like
stuff
physics.
on a molecular level. It's so powerful.
Yeah, I mean, that's just... You have so much energy is condensed in a small place, and you're going to get just insane shit like that.
Yeah.
It's just-
The dual magnetos, which are, I guess, the distributors, is the most common term for them, on each Hemi motor.
Technically, distributors and magnetos are different, aren't they?
Yeah, I think magnetos are for generator power cars.
Yeah.
Well, the dual magnetos supply 44 amps to each spark plug, which is the output of one arc welder on each cylinder.
That will kill you 22 times over, by the way.
Exactly, yeah.
No, that's more than that because it's two of them.
Okay, so 88 times.
Spark
It's a
plug,
lot of electricity. We'll just leave it at that.
Here's the line. Spark plug electrodes are totally consumed during a pass after halfway. The engine is dieseling from compression and the white-hot glow of the exhaust valves at 1,400 degrees Fahrenheit, and it can only be shut off by cutting the fuel flow. If spark momentarily fails early in the run, unburned nitro builds in the affected cylinders and then explodes with enough force to blow cylinder heads off the block and into pieces or split the block completely in half. Dragsters reach over 300 miles per hour before you've completed reading this sentence.
Okay.
That's crazy
That's
to think about,
serious.
isn't it?
In order to exceed 300 miles per hour in 4.5 seconds, dragsters must accelerate to an average of over 4 Gs. In order to reach 200 miles per hour before the halfway mark, the launch acceleration it reaches 8 Gs at launch.
Most humans, even astronauts, are only trained to handle up to 7.
Yeah.
The top fuel engine turns approximately 540 revolutions from the starting light to the finishing light, including the burnout. Including burnout, the engine must only survive 900 revolutions. So the car is so fast, it spins.
It just doesn't have time to run to effectively run the engine.
No.
It cranks less than 900 times total.
It's ridiculous.
Red line is actually quite high at 9,500 RPM.
But what's the term?
It's going so fast.
Push
that
For a
it doesn't
piston,
have
it's
time
that
to do
fucking big. You know,
Yeah.
that's like a
But
softball. or
even
something.
still, for a pushrod V8, which is still technically what they are,
Yeah.
that's really high.
It spins so. It's incredible to me that the car is so fast that it beats the revolutions in time of running.
Yeah.
The red line is actually okay. I read that one. Assuming all equipment is paid off, the crew work for free, and nothing blows up on each run, it costs them an estimated $1,000 per second to run a top fuel car.
And that's assuming nothing breaks and the crew doesn't get paid.
Yeah.
Shit's expensive.
Oh, yeah.
Second.
Yeah.
Yes.
Damn. We could. You know how many shit boxes we could buy with just the top fuel car's budget for one weekend?
Right.
I mean,
even one
We could have Lamborghinis
No,
as shit boxes.
one
guys.
pass, even.
One pass would almost buy my car.
Exactly.
Here's the line that you were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
The Lincoln Felder Corvette. If
This is such a wild concept to me.
If
when I
you're
first read
driving
it.
your average $140,000 Lincoln Felder twin turbo powered Corvette Z06 over a mile away from you down the road, a top fuel dragster is staged and launches. At the same time you launch, it launches.
Or at the same time you cross the line.
Yeah, once you hit
cross
the
starting
start line.
And you have a mile head start.
Basically. getting
No,
up to the-
you start at the same time, but you're a mile ahead of them. Yeah,
Oh,
Yeah.
wait. Oh,
Oh,
is that how it started?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
yeah. Okay, so
God.
and ready to launch on the quarter mile strip as you pass by it. No. You
No.
You
You
start.
get a mile run up.
Yes, you start.
Yeah, okay,
You
okay.
pass
That was-
it.
yeah.
Yeah,
You
that makes
pass
more
it at
sense.
200 miles per hour in your car. You pass the top fuel car at 200 miles per hour and it launches the second you pass it, it would still beat you till the end of the race.
The quarter mile there.
Yeah. It would still beat you to a quarter mile.
And do you realize how quickly you'll take a quarter mile at 200 mile an hour?
Yeah.
Yeah. Starting at 200 miles
Fucking-
per
And
Back.
imagine going 200 miles per hour and still getting gapped.
hour. Yeah.
Yikes!
I mean, how fast is a top fuel car
Within-
quarter
if-
mile? 4 seconds.
Top fuel,
3 seconds.
like anywhere between like, what's the record? It's like
Right now it's like
3
3.5.
Yeah, like 3.5. So
Courtney
we'll say
Force.
average about 4
Yeah,
seconds.
so assume it takes you at 200 miles an hour 4 seconds to go a quarter mile. The top fuel car beats you in that 4 seconds.
Here's the line.
Start to finish.
If you keep your foot down and pass it at 200 miles per hour, within 3 seconds it will catch you and pass you and beat you to the finish line.
That's just fucking ridiculous.
And that, my friends, is the definition of
From
acceleration.
from standing still, it would beat you if you passed it at 200 miles per hour within 3 seconds.
And even just looking at like the less sexy part of things, like how do you get that to hook?
Really
And
big
go.
tires.
Have you seen the
Fuck.
tire?
I know, but like, think about
That's
that.
how you get it to
How
the
much
hook.
science is just in the tire alone.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
The
I want
tires.
to know like the force
I would
of those
honestly say the
tires at
tires are
launch.
probably about as tall as I am.
Well, yeah, and they're probably running like 2 or 3 pounds of pressure in them. Like,
Oh,
just
yeah.
enough, just enough to hold
Well,
them.
they do a
Just to
burnout,
hold
get them
the
hot.
shape.
And have you seen the videos of the tires like expanding as they take
It's
off?
nuts.
Bananas.
Like it swells to like twice the size. It's nasty.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to know the Newton meters of force that are going on. The Oogadoogans of force
The
going on
Oogadoogans.
that tire at launch.
How tight can you make your crank pulley bolt using a top fuel car?
Yeah, we use top fuel rated impact.
What? Okay. We have.
You said they have a 12,000 RPM LS.
It cranked the engine over and blew it up with one turn.
The cylinders are in different counties.
Minutes.
Your crankshaft is in approximately a dozen pieces.
Connecting rod and wrist pins are in the atmosphere right now.
Not
That's
vaporizer
certified.
Pretty much.
That'd be a hell of a noise.
Right?
I mean, that just kind of seems like whenever you like, you know, I want to know what that sounds like. It's like just absolute, just sheer destruction. I want to see that happen. I want somebody to link up a top fuel motor to just pick a motor, any street motor, and just
The 1.6 Miata motor.
Oh no, that's no.
I will
contest.
submit it. I will happily submit it just to see that thing go just in a blissful, just not even fire. It wouldn't have time to ignite. It would just vaporize.
Just
Even
It's
if they were,
gone.
I imagine if they were both running, it would immediately reverse the firing order and it would turn the other way.
Could be fine.
Oh man, that would be incredible. We need to do this. Somebody, if anybody's listening and has a spare top fuel track car motor laying around, we have a 1.6 Miata.
Or even just a
that's
broken
fine.
one that we can rebuild.
I don't want to know what the cost of rebuilding one of
Oh,
those.
so much
No, I
money.
don't
So
even
much
want to
goddamn
think about
money.
that.
And to think about this, the average top fuel team has like 6 spare motors in their trailer each weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also they're limited to however many blocks they can have for the season.
Yeah.
That's part of the regulations of top fuel racing. How many blocks do you get?
Yes, how many motors
The most-
can you
the most
destroy?
durable-
That's the
I know,
thing, though.
that's nuts,
Arguably
though,
the
man.
most durable part of a car. You're limited how many of those you can get.
Like,
What should be the most durable part of the car, anyway.
Like imagine if NASCAR had the
Nuts.
regulation like, yeah, do what you want, but you're only getting this many blocks this season.
I think they do that for NASCAR, too.
Oh, do they seriously?
I think they do, actually. Like,
They
you're only
might.
allowed a certain number of motors.
man, that's the
That's
most
the-
outrageous thing I've ever
That's
heard in my
the
life.
approach. Whereas like F1, it's like, oh, you only get this much fuel, this many sets of tires, you get all this kind of shit. No, you get a limit how many blocks. I think that's more fun F1 to be to watch.
cool.
How many full engines you are allowed to have
Yeah.
Yeah, they. Oh
for
my
one
god,
season.
that's another insane level of racing. Is Formula One car motors.
Oh, yeah.
It's horrifying.
Like, have you seen
Well,
them start the
1.64
starting
cylinders.
process for a Formula One motor?
Yeah, it's like surgery. It's like it's
they
like
have
serious,
to hook it up to a separate
serious brain
heated
surgery.
coolant tank and heat the block up. So they're built so close with such low tolerance inside the motor. They have to heat it up and wait for it to expand before they can even start it without.
Yeah, because it's effectively locked up when it's cold.
Yeah.
It can't run.
That's
But
wild.
what blows my mind is there's still videos of people driving F1 cars in the snow.
Somebody's got a
I mean,
lot of money to
honestly,
get that car
honestly
ready
though,
to go.
once it gets up to, it'll still get up to operating temperature.
Yeah, but I mean, even then, like, you got to deal with atmospheric changes, man. Like, even like,
True.
even like if you watch my Subaru, I put a dual core radiator in it. Taking off, it drops 30 degrees. with a dual core in it. Like just taking off from a stoplight, you can see a temperature drop from like 205 to 175.
Well, yeah, because you're getting that much more surface area covered.
And that's like in the fall. Imagine driving it in like negative degree temperatures, and the block, if the block shrinks even a fraction of a percent, it's going to start damaging internals.
That is.
I mean, I don't think your block is going to shrink at that point. I mean, as long as you get it heated up, like you're saying, like I mean, the block will stay pretty
once
consistent.
it's up to operating temperature.
But your coolant, I mean, that's you have to sort of like school buses do, where you just block off half the radiator.
Yeah.
Well, because that's kind of what the Focus RS did. Like, it had issues with the water condensation, and whenever you had the stock intercooler, just blocked off part of it. Because it's just, if temperature got too cold,
you get water vapor in
yeah.
your intake.
There was actually a Buick I had to deal with one time that had a bunch of different codes in it for like boost control solenoid and stuff. Looked up a GM service procedure, and it said if the temperature's below 32 degrees, let it sit in the shop overnight, drain the intercooler out, and then send it back out and it'll be fine. Because there's condensation freezing inside of the intercooler.
Jeez.
It's terrifying to think about.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be alright.
Automotive manufacturing.
Oh, yeah. Well, like, everything's direct,
Automotive in general, really.
everything's direct injected now, so it's like everything needs a catch can, but no car comes with a catch can.
Yep.
It doesn't even need to be direct injected to need a catch can.
Well, no, if it's not direct injected, but almost every new motor is.
The direct injection doesn't have any fuel washing down the valves to clean the carbon buildup off of them from the
Yeah.
PCV burn off.
Yeah, but still.
I
Yeah.
don't know what that is. It's been there for a while. Sorry, there's something sticky on the table, guys.
Even my car, it's old 20-year-old fuel injected bullshit. I should really put a catch can on it.
But that, that's
I
just
got to
because
catch
it's
can to
old.
the back of the Camaro to go on it.
Yeah, it's just a NA LS1, and it's a good idea to put a
Yeah.
catch can on.
I mean, it's
Yes.
a good idea to put it on any motor.
Speaking of which,
or
if
just
you have an LS motor, put
or
a catch
just-
can on it because cylinders 1 and 7 burn off the oil from your PCV line first, and those are the first two spark plugs to foul up.
I mean, if you
Don't
think
listen
about
to
it,
that
though, like,
fuckhead. He doesn't know what he's talking about.
Worked for GM for a while. Trust me.
He's stupid. Don't listen to him.
This is a Mustang guy talking. Don't listen to him.
okay,
I like to go fast.
Before this goes into a full-on argument, circling back to the catch can thing, because realistically, all that is just kind of resulting of all the emissions stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, because you
Those
can't just vent
enforced
the
it.
atmosphere. If you could do that, it'd be no issue.
Yeah, it'd be no issue whatsoever.
On non-direct injected cars.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
Correct.
and even on just, well,
Well, actually, no, it'd still be, you'd still be good there.
yeah. Because even non-direct injected, they still have all, like, the evap stuff.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
And
you
that's
still
what's
have-
doing
Well,
that.
EVAP's a separate system.
But,
No, PCV is what causes
Yeah.
carbon buildup on there. The evap system is your fuel tank pressure
but even
regulation.
still, it's like your car doesn't need that shit to run.
Yeah, like the most
As long-
common cause of a check engine light is an evap system code. Normally on Dodges it's P0456, small evap system leak, which can be caused by your gas cap being left off or your purge valve getting stuck open. It does not affect how your vehicle drives whatsoever, just creates an annoying light on there and it's expensive to fix.
Because the EPA decided to be a bunch of dickheads.
Abolish the EPA.
Boogaloo 2020.
Stop.
Fuck you guys.
This is a car
The
podcast.
big igloo 2020.
Hey, but it ties into car enthusiasm. Fuck, I'm stupid.
There's a-
Enthusiasm.
Yeah, no, I like catch cans. I got one to hook up in the Camaro. It's been sitting for a while. It needs to be hooked up to it.
I need to put one on the Cobra.
I think that's funny now,
Go on
looking back at
Amazon,
that. We
$20.
installed the two-step
Yeah,
before you put the catch can in, which I think is hilarious.
He's
Yeah,
fucking dense.
because I like to make
I like to party.
fireball. I like to party, exactly.
That was a fun time, us putting that in, though.
Yeah, we shot. So Ian and I hooked up my two-step on my Camaro at like 3 o'clock in the morning one night.
No, not initially, but yeah.
It
we ended up
ended up
staying
being
out that
3
late.
o'clock in the morning. I was almost completely blind in both eyes from an injury I had at work.
Oh, God, yeah, that was bad.
It was
I remember
freezing
that.
cold. We were in my unheated garage.
I was
and
in a tank top and shorts like I am now, I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure.
Yeah,
it was
you're
freezing
dense.
cold. We backed
It's
my
60
car out of
degrees
my
out, dude.
garage at 3 o'clock in the morning and hit two-step. And it shot raw fuel all over a pile of dead leaves outside of my garage and then proceeded to shoot fire at
Which,
it.
thankfully, the leaves did not catch on fire. But yeah, if you want to hear something that sounds really cool, even just for an NAV8, have an LS1 with an MSD two-step at about 3,500 RPM.
Yeah, 35 to 4,500 RPM. It is beautiful.
Shit will wake the dead, and it's great.
Any V8 with two-step gives
Well, yes.
me the big PP.
Yes. As does most car enthusiasts, I would imagine.
I mean, V8s are just. I think I can pretty confidently say this. V8s are just better.
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck your four-cylinder made out of
I
bullshit.
mean, seriously. I don't like it. It's just that.
I mean, yeah, it's like V8s very quickly became kind of
Yeah,
like the
for the win.
benchmark for most like automotive performance.
You
Everything
know what I
own
think is a
has
really
V8.
interesting engine? Audi's 5-cylinder.
Yeah, that is a weird one.
5-cylinders sound cool.
Yeah,
Like
dude.
5 sound cool.
Audi 5-cylinder sounds
It
cool.
makes
Volvo's
it makes
5-cylinders
no
sound good.
sense.
I'm
to
talking
me.
about like your Colorado 5-cylinder straight pipe does not sound cool.
Well, I'm not saying Colorado's either. I'm just saying Volvo sound fucking good too.
Yeah,
With
the Audi,
Ford.
like the Group B rally car, the Audi TT Quattro with
Yeah.
the big shovel scoop on the front, shovel arrow kit on the front of it. Oh, it's beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
I mean,
It boggles my mind how that thing is actually balanced properly.
They suppose somehow it functions properly. I'll tell
That's
you
the
what
thing.
doesn't
It's
function.
not balanced.
But no,
The-
it's just the thing. It's like that's.
If you want to
weird
feel an
to me how that
unbalanced
works.
motor, I drove a Mitsubishi Mirage with a 3-cylinder for the first time the other day.
Oh, I
And
bet that was
pulled-
weird.
I pulled it right back in because I thought the motor was about to come apart. And the Mitsubishi technician I worked with said, "No, that's just how they are. They're a piece of shit."
That is
He's
literally
like, they're
why-
not. He's like, they're not balanced at all. Like the 3-cylinder, there's no way to balance it, so it just runs like shit until it breaks.
That's literally why those were the cheapest cars to buy brand new last
Yeah.
year.
Yep.
Absolute cheapest. Like 16K.
I was
Out
like,
the
it's
door.
got 96,000 miles. It needs a tune-up or something. He's like, no, they just run like that, dude.
I mean, that's what's scary. It's like you can have something that awful, and it's like people rely on
And,
that to get to
it
work.
will leave the factory floor. Like the engineers and quality people will be okay with that.
Yeah.
Which, granted, that harkens back more to like the initial design as opposed to
It's more
quality
Well, but I mean,
control.
they're designing it like, oh, this car's going to die at 110,000 miles, and they're going to buy another one.
Yeah,
yeah,
they're
for
disposable
$14,000.
vehicles,
Yeah.
and the engineers, when you work for a manufacturer, you start to understand how they think about things.
It's all about bottom line.
It's
It
about
really
the bottom
is.
line. It's about cutting as much corners as you can. That's why most vehicles have recalls on them from the fact as soon as they arrive at the dealership, they
Within
have
like
a recall.
6 months.
Because
yeah.
it's cheaper to fix it after the fact than it is to fix it when it happens, when they
Or to
initially
like
discover
build it right the first time.
Yeah. It's cheaper to say, okay, we can fix that post-production on every one of these vehicles cheaper than we can re-engineer this vehicle.
Yeah.
That's one bad thing I feel like has happened with like car culture and like the automotive industry in general. It's like cars have just kind of become disposable.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
I
right.
really
They
don't
absolutely
like.
are.
They've become disposable, and they've tried to, most companies, and you touched on this in the last podcast. It's like they're just trying to become everything's like a do-it-all thing. It's like you can haul your kids and their 5 friends and pull a boat trailer, and
Yeah. Because, I mean, that's what they think that people want.
which, to be fair, a lot of people do want
Because
that.
most people don't have more than one car.
Well,
yeah,
that's the thing.
nowadays, yeah, most people don't have more
People
than
are
one car.
afraid to have a car that doesn't do everything because it's like,
Yeah.
oh, well, what am I going to do if I have to do this? It's like, you don't have to do that. You
Or-
never do that
And
anyway.
honestly, in this economic day and
And
age,
that's
like
how
most people,
that's the marketing side of
most
it.
people can
Yeah.
only afford to own and maintain one car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
If we're going to
sitting
be
here with a
entirely
used
honest.
car salesman, an engineer, a retard,
Whoa!
and a mechanic, and we're
Pump the
discussing the
brakes.
different sides of a dealer.
Yeah.
I just
Of
wanna
a
go fast.
manufacturer.
I'm just trying to go fast. Why am I the fucking
The average
retard?
consumer, the car salesman, the engineer, and the mechanic.
I mean,
The
former.
average
Let's
consumer.
let's put the guy with there. Former.
You're not a car salesman anymore?
That's
Well,
true.
I
He
don't
doesn't.
anymore.
He does. He's not doing that anymore.
What do you do now?
I'm just stuck at Lowe's for a little while.
In podcasts?
Yeah, podcasts.
So he makes no money.
I mean, I don't make any less money, so, you know.
Okay, fair.
I got more time off. I can do this shit now.
Hell yes, brother.
That's a good point, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I really wasn't setting the world on fire selling, you know.
Used Subarus.
You super
No, not even used Subarus. If I was selling used Subarus, I'd be making more money. I'd still be working there.
That's true. That's a fair
The
point.
problem is I was stuck trying to sell new Buicks and GMCs to old people.
Fuck
Oh,
that.
see, there's the problem.
Yeah.
Buicks.
Buick,
Buicks. Yeah.
Do they still make the
confirm.
Buick the same?
No, they killed the Buick LeSabre.
Thank God.
They killed the LeSabre a long time ago. They just killed
Yeah.
the Cross, they killed the Regal, they killed everything.
No, Regal still exists. I
No,
thought.
the Regal's dead too.
Oh,
Really?
really?
I had
Yeah.
a 2012 come in. I thought they still made them.
Do what?
I had a 2012 Regal come in today, and I thought they still made them.
Well, no, I think this is the last model year for them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now what is it, just nothing but crossovers and Buick
Yeah.
lineup?
Encore, there's the Envision.
Encore, Enclave, and Vision.
But the Envision's going to be going away for something that they think is they're going to call the Inspire, which is going to be based off the XT4. So leave the Encore. Well, actually, leave the Encore GX, which is a bigger Encore with a 3-cylinder engine. There's going to be the Inspire, which is based on the XT4, the Enclave, and that's it. And in China, they have a Buick minivan, but we're not getting this.
So it's
No.
all the same
We're not
vehicle.
counting that.
Buick's lineup is the same vehicle with just different E names.
No.
Well, they're different
the thing.
sizes,
That was the thing.
too.
That was a joke me and one of the salesmen came up with that we thought would be fucking hilarious and should absolutely do it. We were thinking, like, what if Buick made an Escalade? And it's like they call it the Entourage. And it comes with little glass tables in the back so you can snort cocaine off.
That would be
I would take 3.
That's awesome. That's hilarious.
We thought that'd be great and be great seller. We also thought the Encore pickup would be hilarious. So like,
the
Chevy
little,
like, just cut the back off the Encore.
like the
just
Chevy
send it.
Trax pickup.
Yeah, I mean seriously, why not? do
Basically,
it?
yeah.
Have some fun with your brand instead of just saying, yes, we have this many beige and silver Buicks for you today.
As opposed to killing off everything that apparently
you're
doesn't
wearing your-
sell well.
You're wearing your 45-year-old smoking jacket. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Forward.
It'll go right with your vinyl leather seats.
You know what sucks? Buick has
Vinyl
had
leather
Buick has had like 2 cars in their entire history that have been exciting.
Grand
There's
National.
The Riviera and the Grand National.
and GSX.
Yeah, GSX too.
GSX
3.
is also cool.
GSX, Grand National, and the Riviera.
And there's also white
The
Buick
Wildcat.
Roadmaster wagons.
And the Wildcat.
Yes.
And the
Wildcats
too.
were also cool.
There were a lot of cool Buicks. They were all this kind of niche within it.
But they were
Like,
all the old ones, and they got
you're right,
rid of them.
But they
Except the
kept
G and
making
X when Buick, when the most boring old man car manufacturer
and
that has
made
been
it fast.
that has
and
somehow
kick-ass.
managed to be the old man car for the last 60 years, has made the car that beat the Corvette and was killed because it beat the Corvette.
And that same engine later went on to make one of the,
The GMC
fastest
Cyclone
one of
and
the
the
fastest
Typhoon.
production vehicles ever produced at the time.
The Cyclone and the Typhoon.
Yes.
Those things were fucking awesome.
Which
GM
GM
had the same
GM
problem because it was going after the Firebird. And they were like, oh, wait, if we put this much more effort into making this thing good, it'll beat the Firebird? Kill it.
And then they killed
Well,
the
that's what- that's
Firebird
what-
and the Pontiac. They killed the Firebird and the Camaro because it was becoming faster than the Corvette in 2002.
Exactly.
And where are we today in 2020?
Now the Corvettes have
Camaro
mid-engines.
time.
The Camaros aren't Camaros anymore. The Firebird's dead for good. The world's on fire, people. That kind of turned into an Alex Jones podcast there for a
It's
second.
a little, you have to touch on that a little bit when you do a podcast. Get a little bit of crazy in there.
The water's turning to the frogs, gay.
Just for the people who are in here at closing in on 2 hours long. At this point, they need a little bit of Alex Jones just to remember, hey, I got
Just
shit
to wake
to
you
do
up.
today.
But yeah, like, okay, back to
In case you
touching
were
on, I didn't
dozing
get to
off.
finish earlier my rant about the Camaro. Why the 5th gen and 6th gens, I don't consider them true Camaros.
Here we fucking go,
To be
boys.
fair, the 6th gen pre-facelifts, like you guys touched on, I'm sorry I keep calling back to the last
No,
episode, but
that's
they look fucking sick.
The
facelift
I like
ones
them.
are
I like
fucking
the look of them.
Right.
But here's my logistics on this. The 5th gen Camaro wasn't a Camaro, it was a tribute car to the Camaro. The body styling was a modern rendition of the 1969 Chevy Camaro.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so
Well,
was
I mean,
the 05
here's the
Mustang.
big-
Yeah, exactly.
here's-
It was a callback to the original body style.
Here's the biggest thing. From 1967 until 2002, GM did not build a Pontiac Firebird or a Chevy Camaro on any other chassis besides the F-body chassis. It carried that chassis from 67 to 2002. That was the real Camaro and
All
Firebird.
F-body cars?
Well, it's not the
I
same
didn't
chassis.
realize
That's
I didn't
the
realize
chassis
that was
code.
F-body was the chassis code for
I
it.
didn't realize that was like the very first one too.
Yeah,
Huh.
1967 until
With the
2002,
weird,
they were all
with the weird split unibody frame. Design.
Yeah, it was
first
weird.
They were all
Same with the
Camaros.
Mustang.
They
Really
were all
easy to
built
work on,
on the
though.
GM F-body code chassis. When they brought them back in 2010, I think they used the
Zeta.
Y-body. Yeah, the Z-body. That's not, to me, it's not really a Camaro. Because it was not built on the traditional F-body code chassis.
You're not going to
Well,
get
then-
anywhere without progression.
Yeah.
And at
But
the same
still,
time,
Well then,
They've
then-
also gone
then if you're
60
using
years
if you're
using the
using
same
that
body code.
argument, then the New Edge Mustang isn't technically a Mustang either.
Well, the new Edge, it has the same
But
platform.
has the Mustang
from-
carried the same chassis code from 64 till
I don't know. That's
until
just
they made
odd.
the Mustang SUV.
the Mach-E?
It's chassis
It's a-
code no, and it's mostly similar up until 2005 when they changed it to the S197. But even then, it's still the same platform.
The only
And
It's still-
real
it's still
like major
solid
change was
axle.
the S550 chassis.
well, the major change was they changed up the rear end. It went
Yeah.
from a 4-link to a 3-link. Then the S550 with the IRS, but they had the IRS in New Edge Mustangs too. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like
I
they're
don't
But
not.
to me,
It's a lot of
in order to be a
Cherry
Camaro,
shit.
it should have the F-body code.
Here's the problem, though.
No.
The Australians are the only ones doing anything right at General Motors at the time, so why not take from them and take their chassis and
Like they did with the Holden Monroe
Yeah,
or
like the
Pontiac
GTO.
Exactly.
GTO, yeah. And the G8, which was the, what was it, the Monarch?
not
Great
Commodore
question.
Ford. No, isn't it the Commodore? No.
Yeah,
Oh,
Commodore.
yeah, I think it was
Yeah.
a Commodore
It was-
actually.
but
Yeah.
for some reason, we didn't get the two-door option for the G8, just the four-door.
Just the 4-door.
Yeah, but it's still.
They
a great
thought people
car.
would mistake it for the G8 or the G6 GXP.
Yeah. I had an ex-girlfriend who had a G6. two-door coupe, and it looked really cool. It was such a cool body style,
But they are
That's
slow
right.
as
but they were
fuck.
terrible.
I mean, every single one of them has lost its rear quarter arches completely. They're
Well, it's
all
just
rusted
that-
away.
Oh,
never-
the main thing with those cars was the suspension. They had terrible
Yeah.
front suspension on them.
And they never really had any horsepower to begin with either.
The 3.9s could be a little bit.
But
The
not, how many of them
ones
they
came
just-
with those?
Oh wait, no.
That was
That
on
was
the
3800.
Grand
That's
Prix.
the
Yeah.
problem with the G6 is that they just didn't have it. The 3800. That's
Yeah, it didn't
that's
have
the best motor GM has ever made.
no.
It doesn't
LS
care.
motor.
No. I think the 3800 is better because you can
What?
be-
There's like 4 gens of 3800. Which one are we talking about?
pick one. I mean, the one that was in like the Pontiac Grand Prix, Grand Ams, Oldsmobile Aleros, whatever kids our age were driving in high school because they were
Yeah.
$1,500.
You couldn't kill
And-
those.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Best motor of all time.
I had another ex-girlfriend who had a Grand Prix with a 3.8 that she ran completely out of oil multiple times. Like
And
they
it was
opened,
fine?
they pulled the drain plug out and nothing came out of it, but it was still running.
That's pretty
Well,
much
that's
how
like-
the Tahoe was when my brother ran.
That's
it
like how
out
the
of oil.
Ford 300 was back in the day too. They drain the oil of it out in the dealership, drive it out around the block, and it's like, yeah, it's fine. Look at this.
Yep.
Yeah.
Their downfall was their nylon timing gears.
Yep. Wait, were they nylon?
Why would you do that?
No, I meant like
Not the gears, but the
no, I meant
texture.
the Ford
Yeah.
300, like the old inline.
Yeah,
sixes.
yeah. The timing gears were made of fucking plastic.
Really?
Yeah, and
Even
you
back
could-
in the day.
Yeah, you could replace them. There was a cast iron replacement, which was way better, but would still break over
cast.
after 250,000 miles.
Because
but-
cast.
Yes,
Yeah.
the nylon. They came factory with nylon timing gears,
That's
which
wild.
the majority of the time you don't see fail. But whenever those trucks start getting harder to start and get terrible fuel mileage,
That's
pop
why.
that timing cover off and take a gander
Yeah,
because you're missing.
probably.
But it is still run like that.
Oh,
I
yeah,
saw one the
for
other
sure.
day. This guy had popped off his timing cover.
I mean, Jacob Hall's truck, he freaking hydrolocked it on the highway, and,
and
still
that thing
fucking
probably
ran.
still has the nylon gears in it.
Probably, yeah.
I saw one the other day. It's a smaller gear and a big gear, and they're both nylon. I saw the smaller gear was missing like 6 or 7 teeth, and there's like 20 on it.
In a row.
Yeah, in a row.
Shit.
And the big one was missing like this amount of teeth was missing. Then there were like 2. Then these were missing, and the rest of it was there, and it was still running. The guy was just like,
That's
it hasn't
nuts.
been running too good here recently. Been missing occasionally.
I wonder fucking
And he
why.
said, I think I'm going to pop the timing cover off. And he was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
How is this thing running? Yeah, you just couldn't kill those 300s. They were amazing. Torque monsters, didn't make any horsepower, but god damn it, they'd pull your house down and the neighbor's house and that skyscraper over there.
But back on the whole thing that started at the Buick and GM's GM is the worst about shooting themselves in the leg.
Yeah.
They are the first to complain.
Ford's a close
Well,
second, yeah.
They will tell every one of their brands, hey, we need you guys to make a performance car like as fast as possible. They make one. They start upgrading it. It becomes faster than the Corvette, and they instantly kill it and try to kill every publicity that it ever existed.
Yep.
Because the flagship Corvette cannot die. They will kill off. They killed off the Camaro and the Fire Root for that. They killed off the Grand National for that. They killed.
They killed off the Sonoma.
Yeah. They
the
also
Cyclone.
in the late the GTO of the late '60s came about because GM was trying to save the Corvette's reputation by saying you're not allowed to have any big blocks in any of the mid-sized vehicles.
Mm-hmm.
So GM's Pontiac executive got really smart, which I think his name was Bucky Nuxon.
Yes,
I think
Bucky
that was-
Nuxon. That
There was a
what the guy's
video,
name
Donut
was.
Media video of it. It explains it really well, and it's really funny. James Pumphrey, I hope you're doing better, man. He was cool as shit.
Shout
He
out
had a
to
heart
you
attack.
if you
I
ever
think
somehow.
he's
He's
doing
fine.
this.
He's been making more.
Yeah,
he's fine.
Is he making more videos?
Yeah.
I saw the post on Facebook a
He
while
just,
ago. and
they
I
just
heard
did
anything about
a
him.
speed on the CTSV. The
Yeah,
other
I just
day.
watched that.
Yeah, but the video where they talk about the GTO's history, how GM said you're not allowed to put any big block motors in or anything over 300 something cubic inches in your bigger cars. So they stuffed the big blocks into small cars and made them fast as shit. Which was sort of like, well, that's the loophole. Now we can't stop it because people are buying these cars.
Yeah.
Or it was like a factory out. It couldn't come in the engine from the factory, but you can buy the car and get a separate motor shipped to the dealership, and they will put that motor in for you.
Which full circle? Cheating.
Yep.
Yeah.
Motorsports.
What about
That's what it's about.
Hertz Rent Racers from the 60s?
Oh,
You guys heard
yeah.
about them? You can rent a car for like $20 for the weekend, go race the shit out of it, but most people
Turn
got
it back
smart.
in.
Yeah,
Most people got smart.
Most people got
They
smart
take
and
the-
said, you can take
Yeah.
this car for $20 and swap this motor I have in my garage for that motor.
And get the nice motor and keep that.
Yeah.
And they would be none the wiser.
Which reminds me, there was a meme I saw on Facebook the other day. It was like, screw LS swaps. We're doing $20 LT swaps this year. They went to a U-Haul, rented a work truck that had the LT1 or LT motor, like the newer LT
Yeah.
series motors in it, and swapped that motor out in a weekend.
Yep. Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, that's dead. That's
Back
deadly.
to the Rent Racers, I've seen guys like go get find a Hertz Rent Racer Mustang, for example, from
Way back
60,
in the day, yeah.
way back in the day, and they strip all the paint off of it. That car's just completely fucking fucked.
Oh, I'm
You know?
sure.
Yeah.
Well,
he's-
that's the thing with rental cars in general. People beat the fuck out of them because it's not their fucking
Don't
car.
be
Yeah.
gentle, it's a rental.
Exactly.
Which is why my rental company would not rent me anything besides a Hyundai Accent. I didn't need more than 100 horsepower to drive around in. I tried. That car wouldn't do anything.
I remember that.
Do you remember that car when I wrecked my Tahoe?
I remember you having something like that or telling me about it.
Yeah, like I turned the traction control off, put it in first gear, and matted it, and it just slowly crawled forward and then took off again.
My first car was just like that. Had a Honda Civic.
Ooh.
Oh,
Non
boy.
VTEC auto 4-door.
Quintessential first car.
Holy fuck, I
It's not a
hated it.
3800
Right.
Pontiac,
Let's let's make this a separate podcast. Like, can we like continue talking, but like have another podcast that like comes off of this one?
Well, I mean,
'Cause I wanna get into
work
rare-
in the morning, so
I know, I do too. I have to get up at like 6 a.m., but I want to talk about rare cars because we're already on that thing right now.
How many rare cars do you want to
Yeah,
talk about?
Starting?
There's so many. There's like the 1969 Camaro RS SS. There's the Dodge Daytona, Super B or Superbird. Oh man, what else?
The OG GT500s.
Yes.
And GT350s.
Yes.
Oh man, what else? I got some extremely rare one-of-one cars that I know where they are around here. One of them was a one-of-one production car that I don't know where. I don't personally know where it's at. It's not around here, but I know where it's at. But you can't ever get it.
What is it?
Chrysler Norseman. You guys ever heard of that?
No.
Yes, I've heard of
Maybe?
that.
It was supposed to be the most grand car Chrysler had ever unveiled in like the late 50s, I believe. It had one of the first ever Hemi motors Chrysler ever developed in the late 50s. They sent the car over to Italy to have the interior handcrafted and the roof. It was such a sloping, like curvy vehicle. They had to have it hand sculpted by Italian sculptors. They made the mistake of shipping it back on the SS Andrea Doria.
Oh.
Yeah.
If you guys
And
know
that
what-
thing sunk.
Yeah, Andrea Doria got hit on her starboard side, I believe, while she was traveling back towards the coast of the United States.
Yeah, it was something.
It was in the hold in a shipping container, and it's still at the bottom of the ocean today.
Yeah.
Damn.
It never made it back for the
And it was
trade
just
show.
one.
Well, ain't
One
that
of
about
one.
a bitch?
Handcrafted.
So it was basically just like
car.
a concept car, yeah.
Yeah, and it was supposedly one of. There's no pictures that they know of the actual finished car.
That exists.
Yeah.
It's sitting at the bottom of the ocean right now. What's left of it is.
Ain't
There's
that
probably
just
not much
about a
left at
bitch?
this point.
Big salt water, and with an Italian body, it's probably a thinner body than the Chrysler
pressure
that would have come on it
completely
Yeah.
crushed it, yeah.
And it's sad, man. That
Yeah.
car would have been beautiful. Or the.
I mean, not that I think that it wouldn't. Chrysler would have had a drastically different styling aspect if that car made it stateside,
Yeah.
but I think you probably would have seen a lot more Italian kind of design
Yeah.
elements in American cars.
It would have. I believe that car.
at least
would have-
running into the 60s. You would have seen.
It
I
would
believe
have
that car would have
completely-
drastically changed the body styling of modern vehicles from that era all the way up to modern day.
Oh, no doubt.
Because
Well,
we
yeah,
still
if
would
you,
have.
if you start something way back here, I mean, it's always going to affect it.
Yeah,
You know,
I
it's
believe
just
that
gonna
was
change.
one of
ripple
like
effect.
in automotive history, especially like automotive styling history. I believe that was one of the definitive moments in changing the course of it. Was the loss of that ship, the fact that the world never got to see what it was and never got to replicate it or take cues from it and influence the other vehicles of the time. And it's sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the Kennedy assassination was another one of those kind of points because it just changed America's at
changed
least
the
American.
fa- yeah,
one.
that changed
it changed
America to
everybody's
be a
whole.
different nation.
Yes, I mean it's like that's where you saw like the very end of like the jet age stuff, and it's like even though the space race was still going on.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
one of the first
But,
dark
like,
clouds on American
The
history.
way America looked was drastically different. Everybody
Oh,
there was a
yeah.
lot more restraint and styling on cars.
Yeah.
After that.
Another one, the Pontiac, or it was the Corvette Nomad. You guys know what the Chevy Nomad is?
Yeah, it's
Oh,
The
that's
two-door
true.
station wagon.
yeah,
from the
it's
60s.
basically a
Yeah.
Tri-5 station wagon.
Yeah,
Which are
a
badass.
two-door
I want
Tri-5
one.
station wagon.
Yeah.
I want one so bad.
There was a Corvette version of that they developed as a concept car for the World's Fair.
So like a Corvair wagon, but it's a Corvette.
It was a Corvette with a Nomad body.
That's interesting.
It was like a Corvette station wagon, basically. 2-door station wagon Corvette.
So like a like I said, like a Corvair wagon, but with a Corvette.
It was a one-off concept car developed for like the World Auto Show, and after it was supposed to be destroyed. The prototype was supposed to be destroyed and gotten rid of by GM. Nobody knows what happened to that car. They know for sure that it was never destroyed by GM, but nobody knows where it went after that.
So it's probably in the middle of bumfucking Egypt in somebody's backyard.
Or it's
The plot
probably in
thickens.
some like weird temp-controlled storage vault in some GM executive.
No, there is one picture that exists from the late 80s of that vehicle in somebody's
Out in the
garage.
wild?
In somebody's garage with an unidentified person standing next to it. Nobody's been able to identify that person or where that is since. Nobody knows where this car is, if it still is in existence today, but they know it existed into the 80s.
Somebody,
and nobody knows where it's at.
You know somebody stole it.
Yeah,
But the
one
question is
of
who?
the GM workers had to have stolen the car and kept it stashed in his
Yeah,
garage.
it's like,
Yeah.
no, man, I ain't letting this thing get fucking
But
destroyed.
whoever has it has never said anything, and his family has never said anything about it.
I mean, that's
Which
the-
is similar to like the Bullet Mustang from the movie.
I was about to say
Bullet.
that's how a lot of movie cars are. It's like the production
Yeah.
companies are like, well, we're done. They either scrap it or they send it off to another company to use the
I
car.
believe it was like 2012 was when they found the Bullet, or 2017 was when they found the Bullet Mustang again. Ford couldn't even track it down. They finally found out where it was
Right.
and
that was-
bribed the owner to let them display it with the other cars. But he wouldn't tell. Nobody knows who he is. Nobody knows where the car's at now.
Are we talking
Well, no.
about the one that just sold at Miko?
No, the actual car from the movie Bullet.
No, that is.
That is
That
the one.
is.
Did it
that was
sell?
Yeah, this sold for
$3.4 million.
$3.4 million. It was the hero car from the
Because
movie.
here's what it was. It was one of the. I
Didn't-
think it was one of the production guys. He
Didn't Steve
bought the
McQueen
car.
actually own that car at one point?
I think he
No,
tried.
he tried to buy it off the guy that bought the car from the production studio. He wouldn't sell it.
Understandable.
Great idea. He didn't sell. He drove it around like throughout the 70s and the 80s. Like he just drove it as a car. Like he took good care of it, but it was just a car. And then he kind of stored it away, and then it came back out into the light, and that's when Ford did everything. with it.
$3.4 million.
It's I think it's the most expensive Mustang.
That's according to what
and I think
Miko
also the most
said,
expensive movie car.
I think, yeah, it was definitely a record for Miko.
Also, less rare than that, I know where there's a Chevy Nomad and a Pontiac Chieftain.
Okay.
Or a Pontiac Safari, sorry. A Pontiac Safari is the rare version of the Nomad. It's Pontiac's version of it. I can't say specifics of where they're at, but I know where they're at, and they're rotting into the ground because the guy has a barn full of Volkswagens and he refuses to move them inside. He won't sell them. He won't store them anywhere. He just lets them rot to the ground. Two of the rarest cars from the Tri-5 era.
I hate that. I hate when people do that, just in general. Not even just with rare cars.
I know where there's a Bricklin.
Oh, really? A Bricklin SVD?
Yeah, whenever I go back, go up to Indy to see one of my buddies up there, I always pass this. It's an orange Bricklin. I remember it's on the left side of the one road. I couldn't tell you what road it is. I just know it's there. It's just always sitting out. Fucking Bricklin. Canada.
That's like the Canadian DeLorean.
Basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, man. No, man. What other rare cars? One-off production vehicles.
Your Camaro
I
doesn't
mean,
count.
one-offs. I mean, I don't even think of one-offs, honestly. Like, it's just like, when am I going to see it?
Yeah.
That's kind of what I think about
We
that.
covered the Chrysler Norseman, the Corvette Nomad.
And my buddy got to go to the Peterson whenever they're displaying one of the Type 57 Bugattis.
Oh, wow.
The Atlantic Coupe. It was the blue one, the light blue one.
Oh.
Yeah, he sent me a picture of that. And I was like, I would kill anybody.
Have
if
you guys
were
ever
here right
seen Cars That Rock with Brian Johnson?
I haven't actually. I heard it's good though.
Incredible show. Brian Johnson, the lead singer of AC/DC, goes around to these like supercar manufacturers and high-end car manufacturers and tells their story from the first vehicle they ever produced all the way up to modern day. He did the Bugatti one, and he actually got to drive one of the Type 57s.
So kind of like a TV version show, like Up to Speed.
Yeah.
What Donut does.
Yeah, but his is more like somber and like historic to it.
Right.
He went to Rolls Royce. He's done Bentley, Bugatti, I believe Lamborghini. He actually did Lamborghini too. He went to the original farm that Lamborghini manufactured the tractors on,
Yeah,
and told the story of them, like how he went there. He had people. The guy that owned the Lamborghini tractor company bought a Ferrari, and the clutch kept going out on him, so he replaced it with one of his tractor clutches. Went to Ferrari's headquarters and was going to tell them how So like, I'll sell you guys these clutches. It'll be more efficient for your vehicles. They told him to fuck off.
Yeah.
So he developed his own supercar and destroyed them.
Which also Lamborghini has a killer story, or not story, but just like a fact about it. Is that from Miura to the Murcielago, same engine block.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it's the same engine.
That's
I didn't know that.
I don't remember exactly what it's called. I think it's like Ventuzzi or something, but that's the same engine from that.
Really?
It's like a 45-year production span or something of that.
I'll be
same
damned.
motor.
That's
I didn't know
nuts.
that.
Mm-hmm.
Granted,
Yeah.
I don't know much about Lamborghini
Yeah.
anyway.
I
That's
know
still
that-
really cool.
I know the company I work for.
It's not
Fiat-
Lamborghini.
No, Fiat Chrysler. Fiat owns Ferrari.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like there's a lot of stuff that we use on Chrysler products that have like Ferrari logos on them.
What is it? VW Group owns Lamborghini now?
VW owns Lamborghini,
They own those
Bugatti,
things
Audi.
except
Audi,
Disney.
Porsche.
And
A
then
lot,
Disney owns
yeah.
everything
Yeah.
else.
Yeah.
I'm just waiting for the day that
Yeah.
Disney buys Volkswagen and Nintendo,
Yeah,
and then owns everybody.
Disney buys the Volkswagen Group.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. They could.
They're into
honestly.
cars now. Cool.
Yeah.
I think
Get
the
a
production
freaking-
quality would actually
Get a
increase
Mickey Mouse
on them.
edition Fiat.
On a
500.
Chrysler product, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely would get on.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. Fiat owns Fiat, Ferrari, Alfa Romeo, Chrysler.
No longer
Maserati.
Maserati. No, no
Oh,
longer.
they don't actually?
No, I think Maserati split off.
Really?
But yeah, it's like these European brands own everything now. They own like who owns Lancia now? Is that I think
That's
Fiat
Chrysler.
again? Or is it Chrysler?
Chrysler.
Yeah.
Still
Lancia's
owns
Chrysler.
Yeah. Yeah, that's nuts, man.
It's
Like-
weird how it's just come into like these giant conglomerates.
Like the same company that makes
It's the only way
the
they
Jeep.
can survive.
Well,
Literally,
I mean, if you think about it, that's why the Audi R8 and the Lamborghini, was it the Aventador or Huracan?
No, Gallardo.
Gallardo, they had the same engines for the longest time because it was owned by the same company.
it's nuts to think the same company that designed the Jeep Renegade also designs the Ferrari.
It's not the same company.
It's,
It's the same
people.
parent company.
No.
Yes.
There
Fiat-
is nobody on the Ferrari
If you
engineering
don't-
team working on the Renegade.
If you don't think Fiat has a hand in every design that comes out of every vehicle,
Oh, I'm sure they do, but
manufactured,
it's still different engineering teams. When you get down to the brass tacks.
I honestly, they use a lot of the same parts in Chrysler products they use in Fiat's.
Well, yeah, but that's just smart.
I'm
business
guessing window
sense,
switches.
honestly.
I'm not betting suspension geometry.
No, not even close.
Take a look at the Jeep Renegade's underbody.
No.
Well, it's a Fiat 500L.
Yeah,
Yeah.
basically.
It's the same motor. It's a 2.4 liter in those,
It's basically like a Fiat 500.
which is why every single Chrysler motor has a major malfunction right now, like a massive engine issue.
I mean, again, that's like every single manufacturer. That's all
Well,
over the
like-
board.
Oh no, it's
Chrysler-
not,
literally
not specifically engine.
every
trend
motor
issues.
Chrysler makes has a massive failure point. The 3.6s chew up the bearings, go out in the rockers and chew up camshafts. The lifters go out in the Hemis and chew up camshafts. And the 2.4 liters have casting sand left inside of them, so they lay the cylinder walls out until they burn off enough oil that the motor can no longer function properly. In fact, they knew about that issue from the factory on the 2.4 liter multi-airs, and in the owner's manual it says 1 quart every 700 miles is acceptable to fill your oil up at every time you fill up the gas tank.
That's nuts.
And that's the
And
same
that's
company
why I
making
like-
Ferrari right now.
Well, the same owned by the
That's why I like my 20-year-old shit.
yeah.
Because if it burns oil, it's fucked. It's not supposed to do that.
Back when actual quality of product was.
I mean,
And also, every SRT motor now is a Fiat motor. It uses 040 full synthetic Euro blend oil,
Shit's fucking weird.
which ironically they use such low weight oil. If they used higher weight oil, the bearings and the lifters wouldn't go out as often.
So...
but then they wouldn't sell as many Challengers.
But I'm not sure on the newer Hemis. The older Hemis, if you use the wrong viscosity oil, it'll throw up an error code and tell you to shut the motor off.
Tell it to eat shit.
Yeah, I'm telling you shit.
Yeah.
That's a good approach to it because it's like, oh, you were gonna survive past 100,000 miles. Let's keep going.
Yeah, let's keep going. I'm gonna continue to put my 10W30 in. You're gonna fucking like it, okay?
I earned
Yeah.
1540
That reminds
in my
me
Suburban.
That reminds me of a girl I knew in college. Like she was
why
driving
it
this
doesn't
Mercedes SUV.
Oh, no, I had
owned by her
75
grandpa.
PSI when I first
She
started
was
it
like,
at
"Yeah, we
Iowa."
put like diesel weight
And then I
motor
messaged the
oil in
distributor and
it."
it got
And I was
zero.
like, "Wait, really?" I was like, "Fuck, okay."
I was
Yeah.
talking to my
I don't know.
boss.
I don't know anything about German cars, so
No.
fuck it.
See, I was talking to my boss the other day. He knows a guy that has a Chevy, like a GMC Adventure van or Astro van
Yeah.
that
Kind of cool.
that runs
actually.
1540 as power steering fluid.
Wait, what?
Yeah,
Are you fucking
and
kidding
he
me?
still has to fill it up continuously.
Good God.
Wow.
Uses motor oil as power steering
It
fluid.
uses diesel oil as power steering
That's
fluid.
fucking insane.
That is shitbox nation right there.
Right. Jesus
I'm waiting for the day that van comes in there and I get to just experience its horrific glory in person. Like watching a Hindenburg video. Like, it's such a spectacular train wreck.
Just cracking the reservoir, just watching this black just pour out of it.
Like, you're smiling so hard at such destruction. But it's so beautiful you can't look away.
It's like where they pulled the old pan off that Chevy Cruze. You just get this like oiled
The
jello
jello block there.
around.
I want to know what happened.
I want to know what happened to that too because I saw that video and I was like, wait.
There's, according to my friends up in Indy, they're saying they just didn't change the oil, and somehow
Somehow it
caused
got
a
enough
reaction
chemicals
that
in it that it just
gelatinized the
gelled.
oil.
There's no way because I've seen
Well, that's what I can't
motors.
figure out.
It sludges
It had-
up, but it doesn't turn to a solid gel.
It had to be some kind of weird synthetic shit.
Well, but this
Like
Even
this is the thing.
synthetic
some-
oil does the same thing. It just bakes onto there into it's a
People were saying it's like, oh, they mixed synthetic with regular. It's like, no, they didn't.
No,
That's
that
not,
doesn't-
that's
that's
not how
not-
that works.
Unless it was
how
like
it
two
works.
different brands of synthetic oil and something just gelled.
Even
weird.
then, it's still the same thing. It's still the same basic molecules.
Like
It's
I can't
baffles me
imagine
how
unless they
that-
did something bizarre, like put some kind of other fluid, like non-oil fluid.
Coolant.
But I don't think they would gel.
Coolant
the
would,
wrong
coolant would
kind
turn
of
into. It would turn into
We're
like
using
chocolate
red
milk.
coolant instead of
The
green coolant.
wrong kind of coolant. With the wrong kind of what? With
I
enough
don't know,
coolant
dude.
head gasket.
There's a
The
whole
only thing
like,
I can think
chemical
of is they use
phenomena.
Dexcool.
We'd have to get like a professional chemist to weigh in on that shit.
I mean,
but
fuck, I don't know.
I don't
Damn.
know anybody.
Let's try. Let's go buy a Chevy Cruze and test this out.
No.
Give me
Then you own
one
a Chevy
week.
Cruze.
Yeah, exactly. Who wants to do that?
Give
Which-
me one
Here's the problem.
week.
I like the first gen Chevy Cruze. I think they look pretty good.
Actually,
The hatchbacks look good, but I would
Oh,
never.
I had a
want
friend of
one.
mine. She had a Chevy Cruze. I actually kind of liked the dash, like the way it's kind of like a motorcycle dash. I actually kind of like that.
Well,
I
and
thought
like
it was
the
cool.
earlier Chevy Cruises actually like fit okay. Like they're not horribly small cars when
No.
you drive them. The newer ones are awful. It's
Yeah,
like getting in a fucking I don't even know what it's called. Mousetrap.
But
like a
getting
clown
back
car,
on,
basically,
speaking of
yeah.
Chevy Cruises and back on like manufacturers and how cheap they are, had a Chevy Cruze come in, customer states brake pedal locked up on them, and they had error codes for the brake, error lights for the brakes and traction control. Pulled it in, scanned it for codes, found two like intermittent like low circuit on this signal and low circuit on this like CAN bus lines. So I popped the hood and checked the brake fluid level sensor and the master cylinder sensor. Both wires have been chewed through directly at the connector by a mouse. GM's warranty, the car had 2,000 miles on it and GM's warranty wouldn't cover it. Customer had to pay $400 out of pocket to repair those. And that was like $150, $200 a connector and then 30 minutes labor time on it.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of those weird situations. Like, it's not really warranty, but you
But
should
you
really
feel like
do
you
it right
should,
by the
yeah.
customer. Honestly,
Yeah.
Yeah.
now if it happens again, then I'd just say fuck it. It's
Yeah.
like
Then you need to
Quit
call an
parking your bikes.
exterminator.
yeah.
Also, I opened up an airbox yesterday on a Jeep Patriot, and it was completely stuffed full of peanuts. So I asked the customer, "What the hell?" And she's like, "Oh yeah,
That's why I keep them.
I feed the squirrels in my backyard.
Literally, she feeds the squirrels in her backyard peanuts. And I guess the squirrels would crawl up into the airbox when it was like the engine was warm and it was cold out, and they would just store the peanuts in there for later eating. So I pulled it out of there, and she was like, "Can you put them in a bag so I can give them back to the squirrels?" So we did that. I did just that.
Jesus Christ.
Did you frame that ticket?
I have a picture of the airbox if you guys want to see it.
Yes.
Kind of, yes.
I feel like for the YouTube thing, we needed to like somehow superimpose this. Maybe.
I might be able to make it work. I don't know. It'll probably
I
be
don't
really ugly. Oh my god, that's a lot of peanuts.
That's like a whole fucking Planters jar. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah,
not
yeah.
even that. It's like, you know, when you go to Logan's, you get the bucket of peanuts. It's like
Yeah.
half of one of those buckets in there.
The customer thought it was hilarious.
Oh, it is
I think it's
hilarious.
hilarious.
It's absolutely hilarious.
Everybody in the shop was around that hood when I opened the airbox lid and found it full of peanuts.
So that's one of the fun things about working on cars, especially other people's cars. You never know what you're gonna find.
Yeah.
Well, I found a mouse nest the size of a fucking football inside the core
That
panel
was,
of the
I was, gonna
Miata.
say,
So-
was it in the quarter panel or was it in like the frame? Well, it probably wouldn't be in the frame. Right?
Not the frame rail. It's the quarter. So there's like 3 layers to the Miata quarter panel, like at the back of it, like in front of the rear wheel.
Right.
You basically your outer skin. You have
Where
the door sill.
and then where the inner fender well, like.
Well, like you have the door sill. You have outer panel, door sill. You have this weird little like angle iron frame looking thing. Like I think that's
probably just like a chassis reinforcement.
I think that's what, if you use the pinch wheel as a jacking point, it kind of pushes against that. That's what I think the point is. In there was this giant fucking mouse nest.
What was that?
That noise?
Yeah. Okay.
Oh.
Kaylin thought the shop ghost was coming for a visit.
Anyway, it was like, because I didn't know it was there. I wouldn't have ever found it until I started cutting away all the rust. Except for the last guy that had the card self-tappered the side skirts onto it. And when I took the side skirts off and I pulled that screw out, like, sound deadening came out of it. I was like, why is there sound deadening coming out of here? This is like internal chassis area right here. There shouldn't be sound deadening in here. Oh. I kept like started picking out, like, see how much was there. It's like it just kept getting more and more coming out. I was like, what the fuck is going on? So I started taking more of the metal out of the core that I'd replace anyway. And I looked in there, it's like, it's a big fucking mouse nest, and just pull it all out. And it's just like this thing is hanging on the floor. And then the other day, you look at the other side, it's not the quarter panel, but I was like looking around like the suspension, it's like, oh, there's a little hole like to where the actual frame rail is. Uh-huh. Like not a rust hole, it's like a factory hole. I'm like, oh, there's a little bit of sound deadening in there. So I probably got another mouse nest on the other side of the car that I'm never going to be able to get out because I'm not going to cut the frame rail open to
fuck
get it out.
That's fucking with structural shit. You don't want to do that.
Well, I'm already fucking with structural shit, but it's like...
But that's like structural, though.
Well, there's not a lot of structural in that frame on that car.
Oh, it is a Miata.
The only point there's any strength in the frame rails is literally at like the official jacking points. Otherwise, it'll just buckle.
And then you got the roll bar, a little extra.
At the back.
Yeah, that's enough.
Good enough.
The car is this long.
I'm going to get actual frame, like chassis bracing, like bolt-in bracing. That, like,
subframe connectors?
Kind of like subframe connectors. This is just more like mid-body bracing because it's a convertible versus the... like subframe.
So I've yet to find one of these in a customer's car or a trade-in or anything. But trade-ins are awesome. Used cars. If you leave anything in a used car and trade it into a dealership, it's first come, first serve. Like, I've got a $500 dash cam that I found in a Jeep Wrangler that is now mine. I also found a Samsung tablet and an SRT car somebody traded in one time.
Jeez.
But, yeah, I mean, customers, like, if they don't come back for them within, like, 3 days,
or if it's not like a gun or something, because then you have to send that into the cops or whatever.
Yeah.
Speaking of, I got a story behind that one too.
Oh Lord!
But I found a bunch of cool shit in trade-ins. But supposedly the number one thing you'll find in a used car or a trade-in or a customer vehicle is a dildo.
Oh.
I've yet to find one, but my instructor from Ivy Tech, who's a master tech for Henderson Chevy, said he's found hundreds of them in customer cars.
That's nuts.
Like, customer states, like, seat no longer moves forward and there's a dildo, like, jamming in the seat.
Maybe it's just because I was selling cars to, like, 65-year-old women. I just didn't have that issue more often than not, but I don't know.
I mean, I understand traffic gets boring, but Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's nuts. Like, supposedly you find a ton of them. I've get to. But he has never been wrong. When he's told me the most common issue you'll find... He's been like, this is the most common thing for this. He's
the most common reason that Grand Caravan seat doesn't move forward anymore.
The dildo. But yeah.
Or the connector.
Back on the cop story. So when I wasn't there for this. This is before I started working at Audubon Chrysler when I was there. They had a van that a customer came in. Customer states, headliner sagging. So they go pull the center console out, the overhead console out, pull it down, and they're like, trying to think, there's like a lump inside of the headliner. So they pull the headliner down and shine a light up in there, and there's like 10 pounds of weed and bricks.
Oh my God,
into the
really?
headliner.
Holy shit.
Like
10 pounds?
They called the Kentucky State Police and then informed the customer, and the customer freaked the fuck out because she didn't know it was there.
Well, I wouldn't trade a car like that.
There.
She didn't know, like, the customer was waiting on this. Like, it was her actual vehicle. She had bought, like, 2 months beforehand.
Oh.
And didn't know it was there.
Shit.
The police ran the VIN number, and it came from somewhere in Texas where it had been involved with a drug bust by the DEA.
About to say,
and was sold at police auction to a car lot in Henderson.
So they just didn't check it and left
They
weed
didn't
in the
check
car.
it.
That's, oh my
bricks
God.
in the car. And you could tell the weed had been there for months. Like, I've seen the pictures of it. It was moldy.
Yeah.
From how long it had been in the headliner.
That's nuts.
And it was like vacuum sealed, so it couldn't be smelled from inside the vehicle until they punctured it with a knife.
Wow. Jeez. That's
it was
wild.
nuts. Yeah, like the customer freaked the fuck out. The cops were like, "Well, we'll take it." Like she didn't know, it's fine.
That's
Okay.
insane.
Yeah,
That is.
Emphasis on shit happens.
yeah. Finding 10 pounds of weed stuffed into the headliner of your minivan.
It'd be like that sometimes.
Good
Sometimes,
times.
yeah.
She was a little bit more explorative. Like, she could have sold that to the high schoolers, and they would have never known without
Oh,
It
yeah.
was moldy though.
Yeah, supposedly
so-
as soon as
Yes,
they punctured
it's
it,
like
was-
cheese. You cut them all
I'm
off,
sure
you sell
it
it. You know,
was.
that's the way it
You just
goes.
get to the center portion, just start
Yeah.
cutting away, you'll be alright.
It's not like a cheese wheel, dog.
But the high schoolers won't know that.
Yeah, it's fine.
You're gonna kill a bunch of high school kids.
They're gonna, like-
You're gonna give them black
Who's-
lung.
Yeah. Or it's like some weird psychedelic shit that like
Don't buy drugs,
They,
kids.
they
Yeah,
turn,
don't
they
buy
turn
drugs.
mutants that have superpowers, and then it's like, okay,
Okay.
just save a little bit for yourself.
Yep.
Start flying.
Feels bad, man. Yeah.
All right.
That's.
Yeah,
I think we've reached a good
yeah, we're
point here.
we're like literally just crossing over 2 hours 30.
Jeez.
So I don't know how much it's gonna cut down in the edit, but just based off of like, it's probably not gonna be that much.
Yeah.
we conversed the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was not a lot of dead air, which is
No.
which is a good thing.
I mean, you can split this up into like 2 separate podcasts if you wanted to.
I'm debating on making this one 2.
Yeah,
honestly.
2-parter.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it, but I don't know.
Stretch
2.5
that
hours is a
content.
lot of podcasts, and like I refuse. I love fucking Joe Rogan's podcasts, but I don't listen to them in a single run because I can't allot 2.5 hours, 3
Well,
hours
to
to a
be-
single podcast.
Yeah. Unless you're just like listening to it while you're doing something.
Even still, I still stick to like the shorter ones, like an hour and a half. That's for me personally.
Yeah.
My brother's
An
not
hour and a
the same
half
way.
is still a hell of a fucking podcast, though.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Majority of them are like 45 minutes.
That was a good one. There's still more we could have talked about too.
No, that's the thing. Like I told Pat about this whenever I was doing this with him. It's like you can literally just keep talking. Like it's
Yeah.
just gonna. I mean, it's still recording right now. I don't know if I'm gonna cut this out or not, but it's like you can just keep talking, and it's like it just keeps going.
Yeah.
All these are just conversations that we regularly would have anyway, just recorded.
Pretty much, yeah. That's all podcasts are, really.
Yeah,
When you get down to it.
it's like someone tried to like self-help podcasts. It's like this is how you do this,
Or like the ones where
Podcasts.
it's like people recording themselves playing Dungeons and Dragons or something like that.
that exists.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
Mhm. Absolutely.
There's podcasts of people like playing D&D games. I've listened to a few of them. They're actually pretty entertaining.
Can we start the official Boogaloo podcast?
No.
Yes.
Well, I don't know. I'm probably already on a watch list, so.
Oh, I definitely am. I bought the. If you go on Amazon, you can buy a book called "The U.S. Army Special Forces Guide to Unconventional Warfare," and it's step-by-step instructions on how to make very effective booby traps out of household items. I definitely on a watch list for that. It's like the anarchist cookbook, but the military-grade version of it.
Basically.
All right, boys. I'm about to shrivel up and die from hunger over here.
That sounds pretty good to me.
Yeah.
So, cut.
Yeah. So I think that's going to be the end of this show. I don't know if this is going to be 1 or 2. That will be determined on my 2 days off that I have this
Depending on
weekend.
how much editing needs to be done.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be a lot of like clipping that I got to fix.
Max
but
Speeding
other than
Rods,
that,
if you're listening, we need you back.
Shut up.
we don't want them back.
No, fuck them guys. They threw an ad on my goddamn Facebook, and I never looked up coilovers in my life.
That was like within 5 minutes, too.
Yeah,
That's
I'm scrolling
scary.
Facebook,
That's
and I'm like,
scary
oh.
shit.
Oh,
Yeah,
they're listening.
Yes,
they're always
they are.
listening.
They are, really.
Max Speeding Rods.
That's what fucking scares
Max
me.
Speeding Rods was there for you.
They were not.
know.
They were there for me just to fail on me as soon as it's like, oh, this thing might actually handle. Okay, no. It
Nope.
just shakes itself apart.
Red Loctite.
Fuck, I wasn't gonna.
You don't want to do that with things that you have to move.
Or things that you plan on moving in the
That's- yeah,
future.
Like the spring perch on a coilover.
Exactly.
Alright, guys, so here's a life hack. Red Loctite instead of wheel bearing grease.
No.
How about
No.
just top fuel car cranking
I'm
over?
butting in as the
Yes.
engineer. That's a terrible idea.
I'm putting in as the shitbox mechanic. Yes.
All right.
All right.
I think that's the end of it. We hope you've enjoyed this absolute mess of a podcast this one was, but
Which still currently doesn't
Stay
have a name,
tuned. There's
but-
more.
Oh, yeah, there
there's
will
always
definitely be more. There will always be more.